The first round of the Central Eastern Europe Rotax Championship was held at Austria's A1 Speed World Track. 28 contestants enrolled into Rotax Max senior category race. The semi-finals race saw Ferenc Končar managing to secure the pole position. He was followed by starting number 152 Karol Dubski from Poland and starting number 154 Slovenian Matija Jurkovic. Ferenc Končar is off to a great start, followed by Karol Dubski and Sandro Lukovic, who managed to overpass Jurkovic. But Lukovic doesn't stop there. He keeps on pushing ahead, and at the long turn he aggressively slides in beside Karol Dubski and in the end manages to pass him, coming up to the second position. After a few laps, Končar further increases his advantage, leaving the rest of the grid behind. In the very back, the usual chaos can be seen, where up to 3 racers tries to pass on one another. After a few kart scratches and bumpings, all the racers continue the race. At the end of lap 1, Končar is in a stable lead, however the grid behind him doesn't quite look the same anymore. Karol Dubski is racing in the second spot, having managed to grab back his spot from Sandro Lukovic. The Slovenian, however, doesn't leave it at that, and using Dubski's lead tries to attack back. The two go-karts are racing shoulder to shoulder. However, Lukovic runs out of track on the inside and has to back down. However, the story doesn't end there. Lukovic literally runs Dubski off the track. There is a huge jam behind them, similar to the morning rush hour. Some of the racers to emerge from the jam are Nikila, Matija Jurkovic and Sándor Jakab. The Hungarian racer is in the spotlight as he's being attacked by Artur Janus. The Polish racer is very fast, he's already on Jakab's back. The Jakab-Janus showdown culminates at one of the ideal passing points, with the Hungarian driver losing grounds just enough for the pole to pass him on the inside. Janus therefore gets the 6th spot, Jakab falls to the 7th position. The pole continues racing at mind-blowing pace and leaves the grid behind it. There are no changes in the top 3 positions. The World Finals bronze medalist Ferenc Končar still leads the pack with a huge 4, followed by Dubski and Lukovic. Further down, Nikila, Matija Jurkovic and Artur Janus racing in the 6th spot are following. The fight for the 4th and 5th positions intensifies, starring Nikila and Slovenian Matija Jurkovic. The two go-karts are spaced out a bit compared to Lukovic in front and Janus racing behind them. The fight is tense, but there is no attempts to pass for the time being. However, we do have a major crash. Starting number 179, Mario Seban, and starting number 176, Christopher Hillinger, and Slovenian 158, Domen Horvat, took part in a triple crash by running into one another. Hungarian Arpad Fodor and Janko Viest are arriving behind them at a great speed, but they somehow managed to avoid crashing into the crash side in front. Meanwhile, in the fight for the top spots, Dubski and Lukovic still race each other at a pace that is even hard to follow. Having said that, no position change took place. At the same time, Ferenc Končar has a solid lead with no one even close to endangering him. Dubski and Lukovic are followed by La and Jurkovic. The Slovenian, however, takes the turn too wide and Artur Janus was immediately on his back. He hesitates for a second and then slides on the inside, taking over his 5th position. The Polish gives the impression of being the most creative racer out there today. If he keeps up at this pace, Lau will have a lot to worry about. At the very back, we also get to witness a nice move. Patrik Picol tries to slide in next to Benedek Vernik, but he runs out of room to pass. He stays on the Hungarian's back though. As pointed out earlier, at this point La can start worrying. Janus is continuing his passing spree and is now focused on breaking to the 4th position. In the meantime, we have a huge accident in the back. Benedek Vernik tried to sneak in on Laszlo Kovac, but he bounces off the bump and crashes right into Kovac. Vernik is a rookie and it seems as if he may have been too optimistic in sizing up his chances to pass. Arpad Fodor and Janko Viest are going at each other from the very start of the race, and in the long turn, the Hungarian stayed behind. Only seconds later, the Greek Evangelos Gavalas also passes him. The Hungarian loses 2 positions in only a matter of seconds. Meanwhile, in the last turn before the long stretch, Domen Horvat easily goes by Laszlo Kovac, who managed to restart the race after the crash. There is a huge fight going down for the fourth spot between Artur Janos and Niki La. Janos keeps on attacking and in the long turn takes over the fourth spot from La. He breaks off very fast and keeps Cart on the track. The amazing Pole is a regular participant in the Europe Championship and you can tell that by the way he drives. It seems as if Janos' spectacular maneuver lifted Matija Jurkovic's spirits as well, as he braces himself and attacks La for the fifth spot. What we now have is a major mix-up in the grid, except for the rock-solid Ferenc Končar, who is racing on a completely different level today. To briefly summarize the Hungarian racer's strategy at today's semifinals race: perfect start, increasing the lead, stable and precise driving in the continuation. No real threat from anyone. He now only has to watch for the drivers that are one lap behind and racing directly in front of him. Niki La and Jurkovic are fighting a tough match for several laps now. As their attention is now fixed on each other, they slow down a bit and Sándor Jakab takes advantage of the situation by arriving right behind them. Just a footnote, Sándor Jakab is also taking part in this year's Morva Cup and Rotax Europe Championship, hence the bookmakers considered him likely to win one of the top 3 spots. A bit further back, Arpad Fodor runs into deep trouble as Christopher Hillinger is right on his back and drives Fodor crazy by going centimeters behind him. Fodor has realistic chances of winning last year's championship. This year, he's racing in a new team. Well, we had it coming all along, and in the end, the two racers crash, with Hillinger cutting on the inside in a right turn. Fodor refused to make room, and the front mask of the Austrian's go-kart falls right off the kart. The two karts are right side by side. Fodor then steers on Hillinger and drives on. Emotions fire up with the Austrian grumbling but continuing the race. Only a few laps later, the tables have turned now and Fodor makes a mistake and the Austrian manages to pass him even without the front mask. In the front we have some major changes in the rankings. Sándor Jakab corrects 2 positions and is now racing in the 4th spot, followed closely by Jurkovic. They both managed to pass Austrian La, who is now racing in the 6th position. The duo races closely together, however they're both quite far away from Lukovic, who is currently 3rd. We're witnessing the last minutes of the race. La lost some of the tempo, Jurkovic however doesn't give it up and braces himself for the last attack on the 4th position. At a turn ideal for passing, he manages to slide in right next to Jakab, but the Hungarian is defending his place. Jurkovic is forced to back down. Only 2 turns later, Jurkovic enters the turn too widely and La passes him on the inside. Mario Seban seems to have entered the turn at a great speed and has turned around with his go-kart. Oh my god, what is going on here? There is no other racers around him, so no damage done here. We have another accident at the very end of the race. Start number 162, Niki La. Good lord, what happened here? Start number 147, Oliver Juhas's kart is right on top of Niki La. La just broke through to the 5th spot about a minute ago, which would have been an awesome result for him. In the meantime, the checkered flag has been waved, signaling the end of the race. Ferenc Končar wins with a huge advantage, bringing his flawless race to the end. Karol Dobski comes in 2nd, with Sandor Lukovic clinching the 3rd spot. Sándor Jakab closed in 4th, followed by Matija Jurkovic in the 5th place. Hence the podium looked like this: Ferenc Končar, Karol Dobski and Sandor Lukovic.